I laughed. That his only skill was Netflix and chill. He FAFO'd with my best friend. I laughed that his only skill was Netflix and chill. I said his only skill was Netflix and chill, and he proved me wrong by sleeping with my best friend. The sentence shouldn't have been funny. It was meant to be. It landed like a grenade. If you find value in real stories told with clarity and truth, make sure to subscribe to stay informed with Left Woman Loud. 3 months earlier, on a Wednesday that smelled like reheated takeout and stale ambition, she made the joke in a living room that had learned to hold its breath. Mara was 28, chronically competent, a woman who ironed her blouses while revising pitch decks in her head. Jay was 29, chronically almost employed, almost committed, almost the man he swore he'd be after the next restart. She said it to buy herself a laugh, a hit of relief. He heard it as a verdict. The apartment bore witness: a couch sagging in the middle like a tired compromise, a coffee table freckled with ring stains from cups he never used, coasters for a TV, blinking the frozen face of a paused sitcom. Everything paused. Their lives, most of all. Netflix and chill. She repeated lighter, because if you say a truth cruelly enough, maybe it becomes a joke. At least you're consistent, right? He blinked and looked away. Consistency, he thought, is simply gravity in a life that never takes off. Now 3 months later, she would be the one blinking at a screen, this time a cracked phone showing a photo from a party she hadn't attended. Jay's hoodie, her best friend's kitchen, the two of them in a frame that stole the air. But that would be later. The burn comes after the spark, and this was origin story time. Mara had rules. She'd inherited them the way most daughters do, from watching a mother forgive landscapes of small abandonments and a father measure love with receipts. Rule 1, do not build your life on promises written in invisible ink. Rule 2, people tell you who they are. Listen the first time. Rule 3, do not confuse tenderness with debt. She met Jay at a rooftop bar where the city looked like possibility. He was charming in the way men are who've learned to translate regret into charisma. He asked about her work and didn't flinch at her ambition. He said words like someday with a confidence that felt like certainty until you checked the calendar. Someday stretched. Rent didn't. Her best friend Lena occupied the other side of Mara's life with bright lipstick and merciless honesty. He's cute, Lena said the second time she met Jay, tilting her head, reading him like a caption. But does he do anything other than curate cues and perfect that sleepy smirk? Mara shrugged and made a joke. Lena laughed and changed the subject, and the subject followed them home anyway. The day Mara said the line Netflix and chill, Jay had just texted another interview postponed. They loved me though, which is what you say when you need the world to tell you a story friendlier than the truth. He arrived late, smelling like rain and apology. His hair was damp and soft. He touched her shoulder and she felt that treacherous ache, love tugging against evidence. Let me make dinner, he offered. Another night, she said. We can watch something, he said, bright. I found this. Of course you did, she cut in too sharp. It's your only skill. He went still. The room did too. A good woman doesn't aim to humiliate. Mara told herself she was not that woman. Then she heard herself again. I mean, what are we, Jay? I work, I plan, I climb, and you binge on shows, on hopes, on me. He looked injured in the way men look when they realize a mirror has been held up without consent. I'm trying, he said. Maybe not fast enough for your schedule of expectations, but I am trying. The phrase schedule of expectations hit her nerves like static. Trying isn't rent, she said. Rule 2, listen the first time. And yet she spoke mean, as if precision would show up if she sharpened the blade. He put the takeout on the counter unopened. I'll go, he said finally, before you make me smaller. People think betrayal starts with someone else's hands. Sometimes it starts with your own mouth. After he left, Mara called Lena. Best friends triage differently. Some prescribe wine, some prescribe war. Lena prescribed distraction. Come out, she said. Dance. Metabolize your feelings like a cardio queen. They went to a place that sold neon and bass in equal measure. Lena wore a dress that turned heads into weather vanes. Mara wore disbelief and concealer. Do you want him? Lena asked at the bar, voice gentled by the noise. Mara stared at the foam on her drink like it might form an answer. I want proof that I didn't misjudge the raw material, she said. I want evidence he's not a professional pause button. Okay, Lena said. But don't punish him for not being a fast forward. She clinked her glass. And don't punish yourself for being play. They laughed. The night folded around them. Abusive metaphor was safer than the truth. Later in a cab, Lena scrolled through her phone and frowned at something. Mara leaned in and caught a flash of calendar reminder at the top of Lena's screen: dinner with Jay. She didn't ask. Jay could be anyone. Jeannie, John, July. People tell you who they are. Sometimes the universe does too, with a 3-letter tease and a timing problem. 2 weeks of quiet. Jay texted occasionally. Memes like apologies, the little handholds of digital life. Mara responded sometimes, then not at all. She wasn't playing games. She was counting. Days between choices. Days since the joke. Days until she could say she'd tried. Then the photo arrived. It came from a number with no name floating into her phone at 11:43 p.m. like a trespasser. Jay's hoodie, the gray one with the frayed cuffs she'd tried to throw away twice. A kitchen she recognized too well, Lena's the jade plant in the window like a survivor. The gold-rimmed bowls from that pop-up in Silver Lake. 2 bodies, half in frame, faces mostly out, but outlines betray us. His hand on a counter that wasn't hers. A woman's wrist with Lena's thin tattoo, 3 dots and ellipsis on skin. Caption: thought you should see what only skill looks like now. For a moment she didn't breathe. Then she did too much, like drowning in reverse. She had always imagined the shape of her heartbreak a clean line, maybe a text with an apology. Maybe tears that felt like relief. She had not imagined this, the cruel efficiency of a camera phone ruining oxygen. Her first instinct was anger, shaped like a plan. March to Lena's. Break the door with words. Deliver the speech you write at 21 and hope to never use. You were my friend. You were my witness. You were my mirror. How dare you? Her second instinct was something quieter and far more dangerous. A list of all the ways she had trained this moment without meaning to, turning Jay into a punchline, turning Lena into a confessional. She had built an arena where humiliation performed well. Why was the knife on her back wearing her fingerprints? Sleep was theater she couldn't stage. She scrolled instead, old messages, older photos. She found a video from a Sunday when they'd all cooked together, Mara filming Lena chopping herbs, Jay burning garlic and laughing at his mistake. Off camera, Mara's voice said, "You're good at this." She heard it now like a prophecy, too fragile to survive contact with a future. At 2:07 a.m., Jay texted, "Jay, we need to talk. Mara, now Jay, now, please." She stared at the apartment, at the couch that remembered him, at the lamp that made loneliness look like ambiance. "Mara, come." 20 minutes later, the knock. Jay looked wrecked and newly confident in that awful way men do when they've found a way to feel wanted at any cost. He opened his mouth and she raised a hand. "No speeches," she said. "Facts." He swallowed. "It happened. Once. It shouldn't have. I'm not here to..." He stopped, searching for a verb that didn't make him smaller or her crueler. "I'm not here to ask you to understand. I'm here because it wasn't what you think." "What else?" she asked, voice like static, "is there to think?" He reached into his pocket and handed her something she didn't expect, a folded receipt from a pharmacy 2 blocks from Lena's apartment. 2 items circled Plan B, 2 pregnancy tests. Mara's brain supplied explanations too fast. She hated each one. "So she texted me," he said. Panicked. Before that night. Not after. Panicked why Jay looked at her like the last good chair in a room on fire. Because someone else was already in the picture. And I wasn't supposed to be. Her phone buzzed. "Lena." 3 messages stacked like confession. "Lena, I messed up." "Lena, he wasn't the plan." "Lena, you were." Mara stared at the words until they turned into shapes and then into a question with teeth. "What does you were mean?" The room tilted. She felt something shiver in the air, a story she'd been telling herself, getting ready to be replaced by the one that had been happening all along. On the lock screen, a 4th message slid into view, a photo of a contract with Mara's name on it, her employer's logo at the top, and a signature block she hadn't signed. Under it, Lena's text, "What he didn't tell you is who set the rules. Meet me tomorrow. Bring the receipt." The friend clause. The photo sat on her lock screen like a dare, a contract with her company's logo, a signature line under her own name unsigned. And Lena's message, "What he didn't tell you is who set the rules. Meet me tomorrow." Bring the receipt. Rules. Receipt. Contract. Mara read those words again and again until dawn blurred the edges of reason. When the sun finally dragged itself into her apartment, Jay was still on the couch, his hoodie crumpled around him like a shield. He hadn't slept. Neither had she. Why, Lena, Mara asked finally. Her voice wasn't raised. That made it worse. Jay rubbed his temples. It wasn't supposed to be anything. She called, said she needed to talk, said she couldn't tell you yet. I showed up. I stayed too long. That's all. That's all, Mara repeated. You walked into my best friend's apartment and walked out wearing Betrayal like a cologne, and you think that's all? Jay winced. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm trying to give you facts, but I think Lena has more of them than I do. At noon, Mara met Lena at a cafe halfway between their apartments. The place was bright, crowded, noisy, the kind of neutral ground where secrets sounded less like weapons. Lena looked tired. Mascara smeared like she'd stopped trying halfway. A folder sat in front of her, thick and overstuffed. I didn't plan to hurt you, Lena began. That's cliché, I know, but it's true. Jay was never the point. He was... She broke off, exhaled. Collateral. Mara's jaw tightened. Collateral to what to you, Lena whispered. To us. She slid the folder across the table. Inside pages from Mara's company non-disclosure agreements, project outlines, timelines, and tucked among them an unsigned employment contract with Mara's name. I got this offer, Lena said, voice steady now. They pitched me for your project, the one you've been grinding for months. But the client wanted a different face, a different story, and someone decided I fit the frame. Mara's stomach dropped. You knew how much I know, Lena cut in. Her eyes glistened. I told them no. Twice. Then Jay came over that night. I was angry at myself. Angry at them. Angry at you for being so good they thought they could replace you with me. The words hung heavy. Replace you with me. Mara stared at her friend. Her almost sister. The woman who'd slept on her couch during breakups, who knew the sound of her laugh in 3 languages. You should have told me, Mara said, voice trembling. I should have, Lena admitted. But pride is poison, and so is jealousy. She pushed the pharmacy receipt back across the table. That night was me trying to ruin myself before anyone else could, and Jay was stupid enough to let me. For a moment, silence. The cafe noise blurred. Then Lena said softer, what he didn't tell you, what he doesn't even know, is that the company wanted you gone months ago. They didn't want ambitious. They wanted compliant, so they dangled me. Mara's hands clenched into fists. She thought of the long nights, the presentations, the way she'd worn her ambition like armor. And here it was, dismissed, repackaged, reassigned. Jay wasn't the only betrayal. He was just the one wearing skin she recognized. What do you want from me now? Mara asked finally. Truth, Lena said. Not forgiveness, just truth. And maybe a chance to burn the right enemy, not each other. That evening, Mara returned to her apartment. Jay was gone, but the couch still held his indentation. On the table sat the pharmacy receipt. She stared at it, then folded it carefully, slipping it into the folder Lena had given her. Her phone buzzed. A new message, this time from an unknown number. He isn't finished. And neither is she. Watch who signs the next contract. The next morning, Mara will be called into HR, where she'll discover someone has already signed her name on the contract Lena showed her, and the signature isn't hers. Forged, the HR office smelled like paper and caution. Mara sat in a stiff chair, folder clutched tight against her ribs like armor. Across from her, Ms. Han, head of HR, clicked through a screen with deliberate slowness. We've finalized your transfer, Ms. Han said calmly. Congratulations. The new client is excited to have you lead. Mara's stomach flipped. Transfer. Ms. Han turned the monitor so Mara could see. On the screen, her contract. Signed. Her name looped in black ink, confident official. But Mara had never signed it. Her voice came out low, dangerous. That isn't my signature. Ms. Han raised a brow. Our records show otherwise. If there's a problem, we'll need proof. Proof. Always proof. Back in the hallway, Mara's heart pounded like fists on a locked door. She dug into Lena's folder, pulled out the unsigned copy. Side by side, the truth screamed, one blank, one forged. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lena. Did they show you now you understand? Another buzz, this time from Jay. We need to talk again. It wasn't just her. They used me too. That night Mara let him in. He stood at the threshold, hoodie zipped to his throat like penance. They wanted dirt on you, Jay said before she could speak. Your company, your boss. They knew we were rocky. They thought I'd slip. They asked questions about your deadlines, your late nights. I didn't give details, but maybe my silence gave permission. Mara stared cold. So you became their informant, his eyes pleaded. I became their pawn. And Lena, she was their backup plan. I don't think she even realized. Mara sat down hard on the couch. The couch that had heard too many confessions, absorbed too many failures. All this time, she whispered, I thought the betrayal was personal, but it's bigger. They weren't just stealing hours of my life. They were rewriting me. Jay reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, scrolled, then handed it over. Messages lit the screen from unknown. Keep her distracted. We'll handle the rest. Nice work. Enjoy your reward. Attached a bank deposit. Not large. Just insulting enough to sting. Mara's chest burned. They had paid him to be her distraction. She stood shaking. Do you even hear yourself? They bought your silence. They bought your complicity. And you let them. I needed the money, Jay said, broken. But not more than I needed you. That's why I came clean. Too late, Mara snapped. Truth isn't redemption. It's evidence. That night, she spread the folder across her table. Unsigned contract. Forged signature. Screenshots from Jay's phone. Receipts. She realized what she had: not just betrayal, but leverage. Her company wanted compliant. Her ex wanted forgiven. Her best friend wanted absolution. And Mara wanted justice. At 3:11 a.m., she drafted an email. Subject: forgery and breach of trust. Recipient's legal department, CC Board of Directors. She hovered over send. Then her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Careful. If you burn them, they'll burn you back. Check the timestamp on that forged contract. Who was with you that night? Her stomach turned cold. She opened the file. Timestamp 9:43 p.m. The same night Lena had begged her to go dancing. The same night Jay had shown up late, smelling of rain and apology. So who had been in her apartment with her laptop, her files? The next morning, Mara will return home to find her front door unlocked, and on the table her laptop open to a document titled Confession Draft. The first line: I authorized the transfer willingly. Confession draft. The door was unlocked. Mara froze in the hallway, pulse sprinting. She lived alone. She always locked it. Always double-checked. She stepped inside, slowly, keys clenched between her knuckles like claws. The apartment smelled wrong, faint perfume undercut by burnt dust from her overworked radiator. On the table sat her laptop lid lifted, screen aglow. The document title mocked her in black font: Confession Draft. Her fingers shook as she scrolled. I authorized the transfer willingly. The signature is mine. Any doubts raised are emotional in nature, not legal. I acknowledge my friend Lena's superior fitness for the role and regret my earlier resistance. Line after line, language she would never use, declarations she'd never make. Her voice stolen, rewritten in corporate cadence. At the bottom, the cursor blinked like a taunt. Waiting for her to type the final sentence: I resign effective immediately. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. Stop digging. Stop blaming. Accept the draft, send it in, and walk away clean. Or the next thing forged won't be your career, it'll be your reputation. Mara snapped her laptop shut, heart hammering. She scanned the apartment. Nothing missing, but everything violated. Drawers closed too neatly. Books slightly shifted. Someone had been here not to steal, but to plant. She grabbed the pharmacy receipt from the counter, clutching it like an anchor. Proof of something real in a world of manufactured lies. She called Lena. I found it, Mara said. Her voice cracked. A draft. In my words, but not mine. On my laptop. Silence stretched. Then Lena whispered, They're cornering you. Same way they cornered me. You knew this was coming, Mara demanded. I knew they'd escalate. I didn't know how far. Mara, someone on the inside wants you gone permanently. Jay and I were pawns. But this, her voice broke. This is checkmate. Jay showed up 20 minutes later, out of breath. He saw the document, swore under his breath. This is identity theft, he said. Corporate fraud. This is strategy, Mara corrected bitterly. And they're winning. They went to Mendez, the one lawyer Mara trusted from a pro bono clinic she once volunteered at. He read the draft carefully, jaw tightening. This isn't amateur, he said. The metadata shows remote access, someone with clearance inside your company. And the phrasing, see here, emotional in nature. That's boilerplate they use to dismiss harassment complaints. They're trying to box you into irrelevance. Mara's stomach twisted. So what's my play? Mendez leaned forward. Turn it against them. Leak it before they can polish it. Show the world how they forge. Truth isn't always enough, but exposure scares cowards. That night, Mara sat with Lena and Jay in her apartment, the three of them orbiting guilt and anger like unstable moons. Why would they come after me? Mara asked finally. Lena looked away. Because you wouldn't play small. Because you didn't know how to lose quietly, Jay added softly. Because ambition with integrity terrifies people who profit on compliance. Mara stared at the laptop. The cursor still blinked, her voice stolen, her story hijacked. She opened a new document, began to type. This is not my confession. This is theirs. A company that forges signatures, drafts resignations, and pits women against each other deserves exposure. Her fingers flew. Rage became clarity. Betrayal became blueprint. When she finished, she saved the file not as confession draft, but as indictment. She was about to email it to Mendez when her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. This time an attachment, a photo of her mother's house across the river. Curtains drawn, lights off, but her mother's car in the driveway. Caption, careful whose truth you cost. Mara must now decide, release the indictment and risk her family's safety, or stay silent and lose herself. And the next message will reveal a traitor closer than she imagined. Indictment or silence. The photo of her mother's house burned into Mara's retinas long after the phone went dark. Her throat closed. Her hands shook. Betrayal at work was one thing, but this was trespass into blood. She showed the photo to Jay and Lena. Jay swore, fists tightening. Lena went pale. They're escalating, Mara snapped. You keep saying they. But someone sent this. Someone close enough to know where my mother lives, who neither answered. Silence was its own confession. That night, Mara sat in her darkened apartment laptop, opened the indictment file, glowing like a decision. Send and expose the forgery, the harassment, the corporate rot. Stay silent and protect her mother, maybe herself. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You're not the target. You're the example. Accept the draft, resign quietly, and we'll let your family rest. At 2:00 a.m., she called her mother. Are you safe? Mara whispered. Her mother chuckled groggily. Safe, I'm asleep. What's wrong, baby? Just check the locks, please. I always do. A pause. Mara. What's going on? Mara almost told her everything. But some truths are too heavy to hand to the people who raised you. The next morning, HR summoned her again. Ms. Han's tone was icy smooth. We've received your draft confession. Thank you for your cooperation. Mara blinked. Excuse me. Han slid a printed page across the desk. It was indictment, her document, only altered, lines twisted, accusations softened into admissions. Instead of exposing forgery, it read like surrender. Someone had intercepted it, edited it, weaponized her own words. She stumbled out of HR, heart hammering. Lena waited by the elevator's, eyes wide. They already had it, Mara said, voice shaking. Before I even sent it. Lena grabbed her arm. Then someone in your circle leaked it. Jay appeared from the stairwell, face stricken. I swear it wasn't me. But Mara's phone buzzed again. A new text. No number. Just 5 words. Ask your best friend why. Back at her apartment, Mara cornered Lena. Tell me, Mara demanded. Did you leak it? Lena's eyes filled. I tried to fix it. I thought if I softened it, they'd stop. I thought I could protect you. Protect me. Mara's voice rose. By rewriting me again. After sleeping with him, after hiding the contract, you protected me. Tears spilled down Lena's cheeks. I was scared. And jealousy makes you stupid. Mara turned away, trembling. So does trust. Jay reached for Mara's shoulder. She flinched. Don't touch me, she whispered. Both of you, my worst joke turned prophecy. Netflix and chill. That's all you were good for. And Lena, you were supposed to be the witness. Instead, you became the weapon. Her phone buzzed again. One last message. This time it was a video. Her mother at her kitchen table reading a letter out loud. I authorized the transfer willingly. Her mother's voice cracked. Mara, what is this? The video proves the enemy has infiltrated her family too. And the letter her mother is reading is signed with Mara's name. But the signature once again isn't hers. Family signature. Her mother's voice shook through the speaker. I authorized the transfer willingly. The letter looked official, corporate header, legal phrasing, Mara's name scribbled at the bottom in bold ink. But it wasn't her hand, not her loops, not her slant. Mara's knees buckled. She gripped the counter for balance. They're forging me into my mother's mouth, she whispered. Jay paced the apartment. They're escalating. This isn't intimidation anymore. This is character assassination. Lena pressed her palms together. Mara, they won't stop until you're erased. Or until I erase myself, Mara said bitterly. She called her mother immediately. Did anyone come by, deliver a letter? No, her mother said confused. It was in the mailbox. No return address. But baby, it says you resigned. Are you? I didn't, Mara cut in. Her voice broke. Please don't believe it. Her mother went quiet, then said softly, I only believe you. Always. The words steadied Mara like scaffolding. But scaffolding can only hold so long. That night, Mara stared at the forged letter. The phrasing was identical to the confession draft left on her laptop. Whoever was behind this had access not only to her files but to her family's doorstep. She checked the metadata again. The letter had been created on a company-issued laptop. Not hers, not Lena's. Someone higher up, someone in management. She met with Mendez, the lawyer, the next morning. This is a pattern, Mendez said, tapping the documents. Forgery, impersonation, coercion. It's not just harassment, it's fraud. If we take this to court, they'll crumble. Mara exhaled shakily. And if they retaliate, Mendez's gaze was steady. Then we'll prove what they are. Bullies in blazers, predators with printers. But when Mara left the office, she found Jay waiting outside, face drawn. They offered me money again, he admitted. More this time. To disappear. To walk away from you. They think I'm still theirs. Mara's chest tightened. And are you? He shook his head. Not anymore. I'm done being their pawn. But Mara, if they think I'm weak, we can use that. Let me pretend to play along. Feed them false crumbs. That night, Mara, Lena, and Jay huddled in her apartment with Mendez on speaker. They built a plan. Mara would gather all forged documents. Jay would string the company along, recording every conversation. Lena would dig from the inside. She still had contacts on the project, still had trust in some circles. For once, betrayal became strategy. But trust was fragile. As they packed up for the night, Mara's phone buzzed again. A new message, a new photo. This time not of her mother, not of a contract, of Lena. Standing outside Mara's apartment earlier that day, folder in hand, talking to someone in a suit. The caption, "Your best friend isn't done." Mara turned to Lena, phone shaking in her hand. "Explain this." Lena's face drained. "Mara, I swear I was meeting a contact. For us. To get files." Jay's eyes narrowed. "Or to sell us out again." Lena's voice rose. "I'm trying to fix it." Mara's head pounded. "Or you're still playing both sides." She didn't know who to believe anymore. Not Jay, not Lena, not even herself. Because the one thing she knew for certain was that someone had access to her life deeper than any of them could explain. And the next morning she would find out exactly how deep when her bank called to confirm an account transfer she had never made. Mara's identity isn't just being forged in contracts, it's being drained from her bank, and the signature authorizing it once again hers. Drained. The call came at 8:12 a.m. "Ms. Reyes, this is Fidelity Banking. We're calling to confirm the transfer of $52,000 from your account ending in 4489. Mara's fork clattered against her plate. "What transfer?" A pause. "We have your signed authorization on file. Initiated last night." Her pulse spiked. "I didn't sign anything." Another pause. Polite but sharp. "Then, Ms. Reyes, we recommend you contact law enforcement immediately, because someone is living inside your name." She slammed the phone down, chest heaving. Lena and Jay were at the table mid-argument. They froze at her face. "They drained me," Mara said flatly. "My bank account, half my savings, all with my signature." Lena swore under her breath. Jay shoved back his chair. We have to report it now. Police, FBI, whoever. Mara shook her head. Do you think the system protects people like us? They'll bury me in paperwork until my name rots. No, we need leverage. She dug through Lena's folder again, flipping pages until she found what she needed: timestamps. Patterns. Each forgery carried the same invisible fingerprint, a digital signature that traced back to one executive. Damian Cross, Vice President of Operations, Mara's direct superior. The man who once told her she was too sharp to be marketable. The man who smiled with teeth filed down by power. They planned a sting. Jay would accept the company's offer, play the pawn once more. Lena would arrange a meeting with Cross under the guise of switching sides. Mara would record everything. Risky, dangerous, but so was suffocating silently. That evening in a downtown bar that reeked of bourbon and shadow deals, Lena slid into a booth across from Cross. Mara watched from a corner table recorder tucked in her purse, Jay lingering at the bar, pretending not to eavesdrop. Cross leaned back smug. You did well softening her. Friends make the best knives. Lena's jaw clenched, but she played her role. And what about Jay, she asked. Still useful, Cross chuckled. Useful enough. Distraction is a skill when applied correctly, and he applies it well. Mara's nails dug into her palm. Every word was confirmation, every smirk proof. Then Cross pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. One last signature. Then she's finished. Mara's breath caught. Lena opened the folder. Inside, a forged resignation letter with Mara's name. Dated tomorrow. Cross smirked. Deliver this and she's history. And you'll have her role, her salary, her silence. Lena's voice shook, but she pushed back. What if she fights? Cross leaned in. She already lost. The bank drained. The mother shaken. The friends divided. The company signed. She doesn't exist anymore. Only paperwork does. Mara's world tilted. He had mapped her ruin like a business plan. Jay moved first. Too fast. He stepped toward the booth, anger flashing like a flare. Wrong, he barked. She exists. And we've got you on tape, you bastard. Cross's eyes narrowed. Then he smiled, slow and reptilian. Do you? He asked. Or do you just have an unverified recording in a noisy bar courts eat pawns like you for breakfast? Mara's recorder buzzed in her purse, the battery dying. She felt time slipping, evidence dissolving. She stood, voice cutting through the bar. We have enough to expose you, Damian. Maybe not in court, but in the court that terrifies men like you, the public one. Cross's smile faltered, just slightly, enough to see the crack. But before Mara could press further, her phone buzzed again. A new message, a photo of her mother this time, not at home but in a hospital bed. Tubes, monitors. Caption: collateral damage bleeds loudest. Her knees gave out. The recorder slipped from her hand. Lena grabbed her. Jay swore. Cross just sipped his drink, smug as ever. Mara's mind screamed, how deep does this go? Because this wasn't just about forged signatures anymore. This was about lives. The next morning, Mara will rush to the hospital only to discover her mother isn't sick at all. She was never admitted. The photo was staged, and the person who staged it knew exactly how to break Mara's faith. Staged, the hospital corridors smelled of bleach and false alarm. Mara's shoes slapped against the linoleum as she sprinted past nurses, her heart thrashing in her ribs. Reyes Maria, she gasped at the reception desk. Admitted last night, emergency intake. The nurse frowned, typing quickly, then shook her head. No record of a Maria Reyes admitted here. Not last night, not ever this week. Mara's breath hitched. That's not possible. I saw the photo bed monitors, everything. The nurse's face softened with practiced pity. I'm sorry, she's not here. Lena caught up out of breath, clutching the folder like a shield. Jay arrived seconds later, looking wrecked. Mara turned on them both. It was staged. Someone put her in a hospital bed, snapped a photo and sent it to me. Lena's face blanched. They're toying with you. Jay muttered. They know exactly how to hit where it hurts. They returned to the apartment, silence pressing like a vice. Mara replayed the hospital image in her mind, dissecting every detail: the monitor brand, the patterned blanket, the chipped tile on the wall. Her breath caught. That wasn't a hospital. That was a set. Jay frowned. A set, prop room, staging facility. My company has one for investor pitches, mock trials, training simulations. I've been there. Lena's eyes widened. So they didn't just forge your name. They staged your life. That night, Mara broke into the company's staging floor. The room smelled of dust and disuse. Rows of props lined the walls, mock courtrooms, fake offices, imitation hospital beds. And there against the far wall, the exact bed from the photo. Same blanket, same monitor. On the nightstand, a folder. Inside, prints of the photo. Multiple angles, like someone rehearsing her pain. At the bottom of the stack, a sticky note. 3 words scrawled in familiar handwriting: "She helped us." Mara's chest iced over. She recognized the handwriting. Lena's. She turned slowly, folder trembling in her grip. Lena stood in the doorway, frozen. "Mara," Lena whispered. "Please, it's not what you think." Jay stepped forward, furious. "You set her up. All of this?" Lena shook her head wildly. "No, I wrote those notes weeks ago. They forced me, made me practice scripts, draft lines. They wanted me to be the messenger. I fought it, Mara, I swear. But I couldn't fight everything." Mara's throat closed. "So you rehearsed my downfall." Tears streaked Lena's cheeks. "I thought I could sabotage from inside. I thought if I played along, I'd find a way to protect you." The room swayed. Betrayal folded into itself, layer upon layer. Jay's jaw clenched. "She's lying." Lena shot back, voice sharp. "And you're clean. You sold her out first, Jay. Don't act righteous now." The words echoed. Truth twisted into daggers. Mara sank against the hospital bed, head spinning. "Stop, both of you. Just stop." Her phone buzzed again. Another message. This time a short video clip. It showed Mara sitting at her own kitchen table, signing a document. The caption proof she resigned willingly. Mara's eyes widened. The woman in the video looked exactly like her. Same hair, same blazer, same gestures. But she had never signed anything. Lena's voice cracked. "Deep fake." Jay muttered, "Or a twin she never knew she had." Mara shook her head, whispering, "No, it's worse. They've manufactured me completely. A clone of pixels. Now truth doesn't matter. The world believes what it sees." She dropped the phone. The screen kept playing her doppelganger's smiling pen sliding across the page, sealing her erasure. And behind the fake Mara in the video, barely visible in the reflection of a picture frame, a silhouette. Watching, recording, someone she knew. In the reflection, Mara recognizes the outline of Damien Cross, but there's a second figure beside him, and the shape is unmistakable, Lena's. The final rewrite. The reflection didn't lie. Damien Cross, and beside him, Lena. Mara's stomach twisted, bile sharp in her throat. The betrayal wasn't just whispered. It was filmed, documented. She turned on Lena, voice hoarse. "It was you, all along." Lena's face crumpled. "Mara, please, don't," Mara snapped. "Don't say it was to protect me. Don't say you were forced. You were standing beside him, watching me erased." Jay's fist slammed the table. "We should have known. Once a traitor." But Lena's voice rose, raw and shaking. "You think it was simple. You think I wanted this. He had me cornered, Mara. My debts, my mistakes, he bought them all. One signature and I vanished, so I chose to survive." Mara's chest burned. "At my expense," Lena sobbed. "At everyone's expense, including mine. He owns me, Mara. He owns us both." For a long moment, silence. The kind of silence that breaks bones. Then Mara stood steadied by rage disguised as clarity. "No," she said. "He doesn't own me. He only owns the version of me he forged. The draft. The fake. But I still exist." Her voice grew steel. "And I'm done letting other people write me." That night, Mara sent the video, the deepfake, to Mendez, along with every forged contract, every receipt, every staged photo. "Leak it," she said. "All of it. Don't polish. Don't redact. Let the world choke on the rawness." Mendez hesitated. "This will burn everyone, including Lena." Mara's jaw tightened. "Then let it." The leak spread like wildfire. News feeds lit up with headlines: "Tech giant accused of forging employee resignations." "Deepfake scandal exposes corporate fraud." "VP Damien Cross under investigation." The forged drafts, the staged hospital photo, the fake video of Mara signing her resignation, they became proof of rot. And with them came commentary: if they could do this to her, what stopped them from doing it to anyone? Cross was suspended within days. Investigations opened. Stock prices dipped. Investors panicked. And Lena, she disappeared. Phone off. Apartment emptied. A ghost who had once been flesh. Mara didn't chase. some losses cut too jagged to suture. Weeks later, Mara sat with her mother at their kitchen table. Real tea, real steam, no cameras. "I'm proud of you," her mother said softly. For what Mara asked, tired. For refusing to disappear. Her mother reached across the table, squeezed her hand. "They tried to rewrite you, but you rewrote them." Jay was there too, quieter now, carrying his guilt like a permanent limp. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said, "but I want you to know I turned down their last offer. I told them I'd testify." Mara studied him. "Maybe you finally learned another skill." He managed a small, sad smile. "Something more than Netflix and chill." Later that night, Mara walked through the city alone. Billboards glowed, headlines screamed, but the streets hummed with something steadier: survival. She passed a shop window and caught her reflection. For the first time in months, she recognized herself. Not a draft, not a forgery, not a deepfake. Just Mara, tired, scarred, unbroken. She pulled out her phone, opened her notes app, and typed confession draft. "I didn't resign. I didn't surrender. I was rewritten and I fought back. This is my final version, authored, signed, lived." She saved it. Not to send, not to leak, but to remember. Weeks later, she received an anonymous email. No subject, no body, just an attachment, a photo of Lena on a train staring out the window. Caption: "Not all rewrites are endings. Some are escapes." Mara exhaled, shaky. Maybe forgiveness wasn't for now. Maybe it wasn't forever. But it was possible. As spring cracked open, Mara returned to work, not her old company, but a startup that promised transparency and delivered chaos in equal measure. She laughed once at the irony, but this time she chose the chaos. She authored the terms. At her desk, she pinned one paper above her monitor, the forged resignation letter. A reminder, not of what they tried to steal, but of what she refused to give. One night, Mara found herself cleaning her apartment. At the bottom of a drawer, she discovered the old pharmacy receipt. Frayed, faded, but intact. Proof of a night that once symbolized betrayal. She almost threw it away. Almost. Instead, she pinned it beside the forged resignation. Two artifacts of lies. And between them, she taped a handwritten note in her own hand, bold and certain. "This is the only signature that matters." And with that, the story closed, not with erasure, but with authorship. Mara, finally the editor of her own name.